And I think definitely this is a very, very interesting topic, you know.
Yeah, it's true.
Big. Well, you approach it as a marketing dilemma, but it's obviously also a political and a healthcare dilemma. So, very intriguing. I have, I think, a lot of questions, and I think they all kind of boil down to the same thing, which I'm going to try to put into words, which is not that easy. Is that I think there is a difference, or there isn't a difference, there should be a difference between your research objective and your research question. In the sense that your research objective is definitely that of a marketeer, of your own position as in this field, whereas that as such does not provide an academic research question. So the step from getting from a particular interest or a particular goal that you might have with the research to an academic conceptual question is something that hasn't always come through in the proposal and presentation. So I'm going to ask you a few questions just for you to reflect on that.
And I like that point too. There's the objective and research question.
So first of all, I would like you actually to say something about that. How do you, in terms of reflexivity, which we've talked about a lot in my lecture, how do you see your own role as someone with a marketing interest in this topic as affecting your research?
Right, because introducing a new category into a country is mainly soft science, I believe. You need to deal with people, deal with humans, deal with sentiments. So we deal with hundreds of stakeholders. So but the main drive behind it, I believe, is economy. And the field that I can involve is more about marketing. So that's where my strength is. I believe marketing can change many things. Marketing can convert an inferior product to obtain a little bit of success until finally the consumer justify that it's not good. So I believe the marketing is the main drive, in my point of view, for the whole process. Of course, the politician would say politics is the main drive for the whole process, but that is my point of view.
Because that gives me already a bit more information about your position. But what I'm struggling with, especially with your main question, to me, it seems as if you're actually asking, you're saying, what is the new smoking alternative for China? But what I feel your research is really about is, how can we make my product the next smoking alternative in China? Which is not necessarily wrong, but there's two lines of thinking that are interacted in this research. That I think, so this may be an advice rather than a question, I think you have to really think carefully about.
Right.
And a very basic question that I think here in the last slide you adhere to it, but for instance, your motivation for the research rationale for this study, it kind of ignores the question of why we would want people to stop smoking in the first place. Why is this relevant? You never really make that point, so I'm asking you to make it now.
Yes. So the link between smoking NRT and cessation drug is for cessation. It's proved by science. Okay, NRT to cessation is proved by scientists. That means gum patches is approved by scientists. But electronic cigarette is not proved by scientists that is linking to cessation. And I will provide. And I actually have some argument. I have a special chapter in my paper saying that these things have not yet been really testified. So the link is weak. So that's why I have no space to mention that in my presentation. But in the paper, I do mention that electronic cigarette not necessarily really proved by scientists with clinical evidence that is good for cessation. That is the link.
Well, that's another case that brings me to two additional issues, because I think how you motivate, because this is the starting assumption of your research, so your social relevance is that, of course, it's desirable if people quit smoking. I would really advise you to actually make that case explicit. Start with that because it gives your research a lot of relevance. But you have to think about it. Do you make that case as from a societal perspective, saying, well, you know, obviously we want people to quit smoking because smoking is bad for them? Or do you make that point from a marketing perspective? I want people to quit smoking because I want them to smoke my e-cigarettes. That's a different rationale. And the second point that I wanted to raise, I think, in your research questions, you call them minor questions, but my God, they're not minor questions at all. They are full-fledged research questions in their own right.
Full-fledged, true.
So you have to make some choices there. And again, something, for instance, what you just mentioned, saying, well, what I really am interested in is seeing the link between smoking cessation and the use of e-cigarettes. Well, that's a research question right there. There's a DV and an IV right there. So I think it's really still too big. Another thing that, sorry, I'm talking a lot. This is really a question, not a comment that I'm asking you now. Why have you decided not to include the political economy dynamic that you refer to a lot in your proposal? So apparently you do think it is important, but you don't follow up on it at all. As a political scientist, it breaks my heart. Why?
Yes, I like the first and the third question very, very much from you. So the number one question will be the motive, because
the motive for what?
If you try to prove that what is the future smoking alternative, you have to skim away all business interests. For my own research, I don't have business interests. No one fund me, not even my tuition, so no business interest. Not really on behalf of any institution. It's really on behalf of the social benefit. And but I will accept your suggestion to make it more explicit. Yeah. The number three is the political force. That's a very good one, because in China, tobacco is monopoly. And there are only two businesses in China, which is business and politics are together. One is railway, the other one is tobacco. That means that those tobacco producers, every one of them are government officials. So that's why I cannot use very fierce political criticism. If I do, this paper will never show up. Not even Jackie.
So I'm gonna help you to progress, because I fully agree with Nora's assessment that your paper is a good start, but it's not yet there as a research proposal, because you still, first of all, your research questions are way too ambitious. That's at the industry level. The future of the e-cig.
True.
Keep it simple, right?
Yes.
Go to your company level. First recommendation. I want to draw a model because I was drawing based on your talking.
Yes.
So in that sense, what's lacking, and what Nora also pointed out, is translation from a consultant kind of question you face as a company towards a real academic research question. And I have thought, just to help think like, I want to make use of the moment I'm here. Basically, you're interested in the substitute behavior of consumers. Yeah?
Yes.
You want them to move from the cigarette to the e-cigarette.
Yes.
So what drives this? Well, first of all, awareness of health issues of from the cigarette.
Yes.
Do they have knowledge of the e-cigarette? Do they know what an e-cigarette is? Do they have, what is the image of the e-cigarette? Is it for dummies or is it for cool people? I mean, what is about the price? How much do you have to pay for an e-cigarette? This is a model. And like you said, I will do some consumer-focused groups. That's a very good start.
Yes.
Use consumer-focused groups to ask, why don't you move from the cigarette to the e-cigarette?
Yes.
What are the constraints?
Yes.
You said marketing is relevant, but that marketing we have to align with the Chinese culture. So, what would make the image cool? So you could use your focus group interviews and use consumption behavior literature, and I actually sent one article about this.
Yes.
That go into these driving forces that explain consumer behavior and then look at the focus group and you stay at the company. This will help you, your marketing strategy for your company.
Yes.
And then all the other around it, leave it out because that's too much. It's way too much for your DBA.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, then you have like the role of the government, the peer pressure from consumers. It's not only so there are a lot of moderating variables and context variables that are relevant. You can discuss that in your empirical setting, but or in the empirical chapter. But in really researching your topic, you have to simplify it to this level.
So for the big pictures, maybe I can put it as a background.
It's a background, it's the setup of your study, like this
Yeah.
is the narrative, this is the empirical narrative of your story,
Yes.
and you boil it down towards basically, I want to know what drives substitution behavior from cigarettes to e-cigarettes. And actually you said, we have this knowledge platform of 1.2 million visitors a year.
2.5 million.
Yeah, now, so, and they are monitoring what they know about e-cigarettes. Well, then you have already covered this.
Yeah.
You have data on how much people do people know about e-cigarettes.
Yes.
So what you need to do is translate your business story into a researchable theoretical story.
Okay.
And that's the connection you find difficult to make,
Yes.
but it's there, it's hidden in your story. But you need to read more consumer behavior articles and then marketing behavior articles, and then you can do this.
I will set this suggestion because this is my field. I have to enlarge it in the first place because I need to think about the stakeholders.
Yeah, but your consumer is the core stakeholder. And you can do some interviews with other marketeers from competing companies to know what do they think about it, and that will help you to further your model and see what is applicable in the Chinese context. But your core focus is you will do a consumer research.
But do you think the consumer is more about psychology? I don't know.
Yeah, awareness, image, price, but that would be, you use the focus groups to start and then you do a big survey about these.
Okay.
Yeah?
Thank you.
Okay. Oh, thank you, Jackie. Terry?
It's okay. Yeah, thank you for the presentation.